guess it wasn't so bad yesterday. I watched through a bunch of my little, like, videos, and I giggled at myself a lot. I guess, I make a lot of funny faces when I talk, and I whispered a lot. But then, like, this morning I was gonna start recording, and as soon as I started talking to myself, Bobby walked in and said, "Are you talking to yourself?" And I pretended like I was talking to the cat so that it didn't sound like I was just talking to myself. I guess I'm here to talk to you today instead of, I don't know, making friends with every cashier and, like, little old lady that stands behind me at the grocery aisle. I'm not talking to enough people anymore, so I just, yeah, can you believe it? Can you believe it? It's 2021, we're still in crazy, and I only have people to talk to in my house. I decided to put my, like, maybe I'll vlog someday into play, and maybe you'll watch. Right now, trying to find property that we can homestead on up in our great north of our state. We have some ideas of places, some we can't get to. Northern Michigan has a lot of unmaintained roads. Sometimes you just don't want to turn down the wrong road because you might not be able to get back out. So we can't get to some of the property that I'm curious about. I've been, like, heavily stalking every realtor site that exists, watching and watching and watching and watching. Don't yell. Sorry. Kitty tip is over, yelling in the window like he's teasing the boys that are outside because the stray cat that befriended me at Kittens in my house last night, I guess I was, like, the safe place, or my family was, trusted to. She came and had kittens in my kitchen or my dining room. So yeah. So there's pictures of her. I filmed her a little this morning. I'm trying to give her space right now because I wanted Tip to not be trapped away because she's in my main cat space. I had to put Tip in the bathroom last night, and he is not happy, so he's laying in the window, pouting a bit, and every once in a while you might hear him bellow because my cats don't just meow. They tweet, chirp, bellow. They make all sorts of silly sounds that I didn't know cats, or I guess I did know cats made, but I didn't ever hear before. Ooh, how about, because everybody doesn't know me, I don't wear makeup, so you want to judge the little dark circles in my eyes? I don't care. I am not the type of girly girl, like, I'm a girly girl, but I hate makeup. I hate spending tons of time worrying about what I'm looking like, and so I don't. I'm pretty laid back. I just am me. So, like, you're just gonna get what you're gonna get, and if I look like crap, then I'll look like crap, and if you don't want to watch me, then just shut me off. I have a feeling my hair is going to be different every time you see me today. I can never make up my mind how I want my hair to be. I really want it to be down, but I know that my way is in a ponytail all pulled back out of the way because my hair is getting thin and I got so much gray. Yeah, I don't care. Like I said, that must be my motto. I don't care. No, I don't care. No, I don't care what other people think of me is a better term. The gray is the gray. It is what it is. So no matter what, if I'm not wearing makeup. I'm not wearing hair dye. I actually grew up with dark brown hair, extremely. I can kind of show you the difference because part of my hair is still brown. But what happens is, people will judge me. I have super curly hair, but it's so much different. My daughter, Winter, if I talk to her, if you see Quentin, you'll see that they have this dark brown hair, and it's being completely engulfed by the gray. So this is what it is. And like I was about to say, there we go again with the rambling off, almost changing my subject, is that I always had dark brown hair. You can't have light hair unless you bleach your hair. You can't go blonde without bleaching. And one time I tried to go light, and it turned my hair like strawberry blonde, and it was awful. I won't link a picture of that because I hated it. And it's turning, like at first I was like, oh no, but it's turning almost, it's hard to like show people, and it's like super curly, so it's like completely different texture, so it's like way more solid. But yeah, look how much gray it is. It's like a whole tuft. It's kind of silver, so occasionally shimmers. Well, never in my life would I have ever been able to experience this color. Even like, everyone wants to see what they would look like with a different color. Well, here we are, people pay thousands of dollars to get this gorgeous silver hair. So I'm hoping it all comes in and doesn't stay salt and peppered, and I end up with, like, I don't know, pretty silver hair. So another thing, you want to judge me for being way gray at 45, which I've been gray since I was in my 20s, or started to be gray since I was in my 20s, so I don't care. I'll do what I want, is pretty much the gist. So, yeah, this is the color. It's only going to get grayer. I've considered chopping off the parts that are dark. It actually might make things look better. Maybe. I was going to go, like, here, but then Winnie was like, I want to go here. So we cut her hair, and I'm keeping it long, and it's hard to have just a ponytail because there's, look, that's the hair at the end of my ponytail. The poor, pitiful, nothing left hair. I just should, like, chop it off right there. I don't know. It won't be so thick. Anyways, I'm not here to talk fashion. I guess, like I said, just came, vent some of my, like, chatty Cathy conversation out onto somebody. Maybe somebody else needs some chatty Cathy conversation, and they just don't know what they need, or what, they don't care what they're hearing, just want someone to talk to. So, I talked about, like, vlogging, like I said, with my mom, and then I talked about vlogging with my daughter, who wants to YouTube. She's just turned 12, and I keep telling her, you gotta wait a little more, because she is just too beautiful, that, like, I didn't want to, like, throw her in the spotlight, because she's 12. So, she never left the room most of the day. She kept hoping I was going to do it so she could come pick on me or watch me or, like, shove her face in the picture. And I looked at her and said, do you think if you were filming, you would want me to poke my nose in your business? And she's like, no, and left the room. So sometimes just be straightforward with your child and they'll realize, oh, yeah, that isn't what I want either. And then we can all move on. But I wouldn't be surprised if she's laying with her face on the window or on the door to the dining area. The French doors are shut, and she's probably leaning on them, what's she talking about? Guess what? Talking about you. No. Let's see. What did I want to finish? Well, we could talk about the other half of everything that I didn't talk about yesterday. So, I had talked about, see, and I can't rehash, because if I tell you everything that I said yesterday, guess what? I'll change subjects again. And then talk about, you'll never hear the second half of the story. Okay, so let's see, how about the Mom and the Maverick, my name, why I chose, because most people choose pretty simple things or things that are understandable. So I was like, what name would I want? What would I want my YouTube to be about? Well, if I was vlogging, it would be about life in general, maybe I just needed to talk, or maybe, I just needed to talk, sometimes people, we just spent last year in 2020, and everybody wasn't getting to talk. I mean, you can still FaceTime or talking to people with the phone or text people, but I'm really a personable one-on-one, I spent my whole life waitressing, so my whole life has always been talking to people, and I keep catching myself, my husband has something to talk about, and then I'll be oh, and blah, 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 and I'll start all of a sudden talking about what he's not talking about. And he never even got to talk about everything he wanted to talk about, and I think I'm kind of ticking him off a little. He keeps going, and then shutting the door and walking away, and we never finish our conversation, so he doesn't hear what I'm talking about, even if it's interesting to me. And he's not getting to tell me everything he wanted to say, because I'm so excited to have somebody to talk to too. So if I just talk to, I don't know, whoever's listening, because it could be nobody, and it probably will be no one. It'll probably be my mom. Hi, Mom. Maybe I won't tell her my YouTube channel so that she isn't the only person watching me. So anyways, let's see. I did it. I told you I was going to tell you about the Mom and the Maverick, and then I told you about me changing stories. All right. So my YouTube name, Mom and the Maverick. I already told you that I'm just the mom. It's my life. 5 kids, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times. I have 2 adult-age children. They'll always be my babies. And then I have a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old, and my son will be 10 in 3 weeks, or 2.5 weeks. And so I spent more than half of my life as a mom. I had been when I was 21. I went and bought beer with a big hoodie on my 21st birthday, because I was pregnant, and I gave it to my husband, my ex-husband. So it was kind of a funny, way to buy beer, because I was I'm gonna be 21, and I can't drink. Oh, well, so I went and bought beer. So where is the Maverick? He became I never planned on, like, you know, what's the definition of a maverick? Maverick is like an untamable. The maverick is like, let's see, let's look it up. Hopefully my internet connects to my tablet, because my tablet hates the internet in this area of the house. So, figured it'd be better if maybe we gave you the definition, which I have looked up. I'm going to put in the Maverick, and it's going to show me, like, the Mavericks. Yeah, it has to do with the inability to be, like, tamed, unbranded, or, let's see, North American, an unorthodox or independent-minded person, or a, it wants to talk about the movie, but pretty much, like, the Maverick is somebody that doesn't follow along with everyone else, and usually they're a little more unattached. That is for real, not my husband. Oh, here's the wordings, the similar words. Individualist, definitely him. An unconformist, almost definitely, and free-spirited. So, Emma Bobby, when we were 30, he's a year older, so 29 and 30. And 30, I had been a mom for 8 years, the year I met Bobby, and he was a single 30-year-old. He had never lived that many, he hadn't lived with that many women. He had always kind of been independent. He moved out of his home, from his childhood home, when he was 17. So, like, he's very, very independent. He never had anyone else to answer to. He pretty much did what he wanted and never thought about what other people had going on. So when I met 30-year-old Bobby, he was the most, he wasn't used to a family. It was extremely complicated, to say the very least. I mean, like, I was a mom. I had a 6 and an 8-year-old at the time, literally, like, a just 6 and a just 8-year-old. Ben and Quentin literally were just little people. Like, it was in March that we met, and Ben's birthday was March 21st, and he, the first time I ever hung out with Bobby was on St. Patty's Day, March 17th. So that year, I hung out with him. Ben was 7, and he turned 8, like 3 days later, over that weekend. And I had a birthday party, and that was it. So pretty much he has been, like, part of their lives for a really long time, but he didn't play father. He played friend, stubborn, hard ass, I don't know, all sorts of things, but he didn't understand parenthood at all. He understood being an adult, but he didn't understand, like, having compassion for other people's, like, issues, or nor did he know how to, like, I would even say, like, love. He might get mad at me, but I think that he'll kind of agree. I would say, like, the first 3 years before, I constantly just thought he was not permanent. even when I first got pregnant with Willow, I can't say that I thought that he was going to be there. God, was I wrong? Because he wanted children. It was like, there was no question. Like, we started to date, and he said, "Are you going to want more kids?" And I was like, "No. Sorry, kids." And he was like, I'm like, because I don't know if I can date you unless I know that there's that, like, possibility that if we were to become serious, that you would want to have children with me. And, like, we had only known each other for, like, I don't know, about a month. And I said, well, can you give me a little time to, like, think about that? Because, like, I can't. I don't know. So we continued to date for, like, another month, and I was like, okay, I would consider having children with you. There's a lot I really love about you. I hope that if that happens, that, you know, you'll always be there. And he's a runner, and he won't probably admit that, but he is. I don't know. We both come from broken homes, so, you know, broken children aren't always right in the brain. So sometimes people, you know, they come with baggage, and do you deal with their baggage or do you move on? So we decided that our baggage was pretty similar. We both had abandoning fathers, just happened to have the same even name. And our moms were both there, but they were both young. His mom was less compassionate. Like, I'm extremely lucky. Like, extremely lucky to have the mom I have. Not everybody can say that they're lucky to have the mom they have. Like, she would give me the world if she had it to give. So I know that, and I'm thankful for that. So if you spend half your life wondering what the other person that created you was going to do and why they weren't there. So sorry, I don't have that much emotion for that, but a 10-year-old does. A 10-year-old wonders why. And I think that Bobby and I were both scared of abandonment. What mother, doesn't want her children to be abandoned, especially if you were one of those children, or if you love somebody that you see was affected by being one of those children. We can't completely blame our parents completely. It's not our fault, but it's societal, so we won't go into the societal of, like, what made everyone feel like they had to go to work and leave their kids at home alone, or teach a whole generation of children to raise themselves in their own little home, or parents are all at work and the kids are at home. To me, I didn't want any of that for my children, and neither did Bobby. So him and I worked really hard to be home. There's a huge bird flying out by the window. So we pretty much, the name, like, pretty much Bobby and I are very similar. We're both strong, but we're both been broken. So finding each other was, really nice. And it's funny because he's, like, the oldest brother and has 2 younger sisters and was raised by a single mother. And I have an older brother, and I'm the older of the 2 sisters. I was raised by a young single mother. So we grew up, I feel like, the same, poor and looking for love, looking for, you know, approval, wanting to make, you know, the people around you happy, or trying to make them notice what you had going on, and maybe, like, crying for help a few times. So him and I were meant to be together. Like I said, our first 3 years, maybe a little more rocky than our year 15. Him and I like each other more now. I feel like we understand each other more now. I'm used to his personal family traits. His, like, you know, stubborn, the way he says things, you know, like, as you learn someone, sometimes you learn that, like, the way you read their wording isn't always right. It's warped in your own brain. We both have been known to, you know, warp each other's thoughts of thinking they meant something else when they said something. So everybody deals with that. It's just knowing whether, like, being strong enough to stay there and make it through it and like each other more later. You know, like right now, let's see what other part of it was. Maverick, so the word Maverick. So I would have never called him that on my own. What happened is, in our year 4, we had Willow as a baby, and Winter was just this little, like, baby in my belly, and we spent the weekends at his father's house, which was the only time our families have seen each other. It was the one and only experience of grandfather. Bobby took me to his dad's house because it was his grandmother's house, and he adored his grandmother, so he wanted me to know what he talked about when he talked about it. So we gave in and revisited his father, I think 2 times, but in the first instance, I got to meet Linda. Linda lived next door. She owned the property next door to Bobby's grandparents, up in Chippewa Lake, and I didn't get to meet Bobby's grandmother, and I wish that I did, because I could really use some her words, I think, of wisdom. I listen to what she says, and I think she would have made it easier at the beginning. I think about it because, like, we almost didn't make it so many times, and I always would fall back into what he would tell me. Hey, yeah, my grandma would always call him blubbering. It's a family, a trait of his family, grumbling, of anger, grumble. Well, I used to take it personal. Alright, I stopped because I cried, and, like, told myself that I wasn't gonna be like a cry mouse at the beginning. I think I cried in my first video, and I don't want to be a crybaby, and I'm not an emotional wreck. Like, yes, I'm sad that I can't see my son, and yes, it makes me sad that I never got to meet my husband's favorite person in the world. So those things, they do affect me. I was not trying to in any way, like, say Bobby is, like, hard to deal with. We're both hard to deal with. It's not me. It's not him. It's not me. It's us. So we What was I telling you? Oh, the reason I wanted to meet his grandmother is because his family has this grumble trait where, like, they get frustrated and they like they got Tourette's or something. And I didn't know how to not take it personal at first until I realized that, like, the best way to do was to not take it personal. Like, he wasn't directing it at me. So it really, even if it was being said to me, he wasn't saying it at me. He was saying it, just saying it. And it took me a while to figure this out. And, like, it took him a while to figure out that, like, I don't know. I don't want to pick it myself. I already know what to say, but I didn't want to say it. So there. So, what I was talking about was, as funny as this is, but because I rambled on about his grandmother, but the point was his grandmother's best friend at her first Chippewa Lake home was Linda. And Linda, when she met me, she hugged me and she said, "Oh, how I wish you could have met Nettie. She would just be gushing over you. We really never thought this Maverick was gonna be settled down." I didn't understand what she first was meaning until I left that day and I looked up Maverick. I didn't know what she meant. And I think in, like, her childhood eyes, a Maverick was, like, swooning, you know, good looking, didn't need to be, like, held down, was always going to be independent and bold. And that's not what happened at all. Like I had mentioned, we were both, I think, afraid of abandonment in our relationship. So, I was scared, he was scared. We tried to have kids, and it wasn't working, and we were starting to worry that maybe, like, he couldn't have kids, you know, like, he had never tried, so he didn't know. And we both knew that I had had 2 children, and we didn't know. And then it just happened, and I got pregnant with Willow, and sorry, I thought I heard someone sneakily open the door, like they want to sit over there and try to listen around the corner, because I can see Willow doing that, and I was talking about her, so I didn't want her to walk in on me talking about her. So when Willow was born, when I was pregnant with Willow, I was extremely scared of my runner, and I thought that I didn't know. So when Willow was born, you know, him and I, we were both terrified, and his mom came, and she helps, was there when Willow was born, and I was really glad for that, because my mom had to be with my, with Ben and Quentin, and then, my good friends showed up, and she wanted to see a childbirth, so she came and sat there and patiently observed childbirth. I love you, Rachel. And the day Willow was born changed my husband. I would honestly say that he was never the same again. I listened to a YouTuber recently, you know, I'm a mom, so I like mom stories, And so I catch myself looking for YouTube moms, not fake ones. Like, I want wholehearted, like, real people that, like, aren't afraid to say what they're really thinking, or like what their really, like, thoughts are about real life. And her name is Christy, and she had a child, and she is having emotional issues from the fear of loss. Okay. I think that is, like, extremely relatable. I felt very much living in this relatable situation as she spoke it. It isn't what I experienced. It wasn't me personally. I watched my husband go through this. It's not things women talk about a lot. It's nothing men talk a lot about. But I think my husband dealt with postpartum depression. The birth of our child, the new life that he was forever attached to. The thought that, like, he was afraid of loss. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this, like, abandonment is hard when you were abandoned by your parents, or your parents, or, you know, it could have been a relationship, it could have been anything, but, like, ours just happened to be a parent, or parents in his case. And sorry, Deborah, if you ever see that, but his sense of abandonment and the feeling that he didn't know he didn't sorry, the cat came for snuggles, and she's the one that had the baby today, and you became a mama today, so talking that is a big deal. It was the most emotional thing that I think that anyone in that room had ever experienced. Like, yes, childbirth is intense, and I'm blessed to have healthy children. I'm very blessed to be able to get to mother 5 children. But the moment that my daughter was born, I mean, Bobby blubbered and cried, and he made nurses cry. He made me cry. It was amazing. And we spent a good year of Bobby having a lot of separation anxiety issues. People weren't forgiving. Families, his family, my family, nobody was that forgiving. To think that I was taking care of and harboring somebody that wouldn't leave the house or separate himself from this child. He loved her, and, like, I could see it all over him. So, like, I went right back to work, and Bobby stayed home with Willow, and it confused everybody. Nobody could quite get it. Like, wait, you went back to work at 4 weeks postpartum, and, like, is Bobby looking for a job? Well, like, it wasn't anyone's business but his and mine, and him and I were okay with this. I was making all right money at the moment, and, you know, life was happening, and I found out, like, 8 weeks after Willow was born, I was working, and, like, I was back full waitressing every week, every night. I was busting my ass and, like, pumping in the bathroom in a 10-minute break, which was, like, impossible. So So, like, I couldn't almost be the closer because it was causing complications with me being able to pump. And then I started to put on weight. And then I was sick. And then we realized I was pregnant again. The point of my story was his Maverick, which I already explained, but I wanted you guys to understand that he really isn't a Maverick anymore. I mean, like, he's still, like, extremely independent and extremely, like, his own self, and he isn't going to follow what everyone else is doing. Like, he still won't take a Facebook page or have, I think he had Twitter, but only because he saw posts that he wanted to respond on. So, fatherhood for Buppy, particularly. So, we were talking about people's adjustments to parenthood with abandonment issues. So, like, it's not really, like, the whole conversation or the conversation that we really want to be focused on for the day. But it's really hard to deal with yourself. I think, like, when people, like I said, I watched a YouTuber who, her name is Christy, who is struggling extremely hard with panic attacks and stuff like that from not being able to leave her child. And like I said, as she told her story, like, my husband's story came flooding into my brain, which, like I said, some people won't understand because it's like, it's a woman's problem. Or it's like, that's a mother thing, like postpartum depression, or like the fear after motherhood or becoming a mother is just what women deal with. And I've never heard people speak of men struggling with this issue, but I watched my husband do it so much. It was so hard for him. He, like I said, he spent about a year not able to go places or be separated from her. He couldn't take jobs because he couldn't physically think while he was there. The stress and the panic that he was feeling is very normal for people that deal with separation anxiety. But, like, it wasn't something him or I expected to happen. Nor did anyone else think it was going to happen, and nor did anyone else, like I said, support him as this was happening to us. So I was working, like I said, I found out I was pregnant again, and so I was working full-time. I was pregnant with our second baby, and we have a baby at home. And that year, well, he struggled. We were growing another human. Like, life was changing again, and, like, I was scared. Didn't know if I could do everything alone. I didn't know if I could. I was falling behind financially to help him. Like, I wanted to stay supportive to the fact that he was having so much trouble. But, like, I alone could not pay the bills. And so we moved in with my family to lighten our stress load. especially after Winter was born, because then he was home with the 2 kids, and I went back to work instantly because I was on maternity leave and I filed my taxes and was really hoping to get my tax return because I relied on it to show up every year to catch up or to keep myself afloat during those hard parts of the year when waitressing wasn't making me big bucks. So what ended up happening is I filed my taxes and my student, okay, I went to college, I have student loans, they were in default. I contacted student loans on how to undefault myself. They said make payments, set up arrangements, so I did it while I was on maternity leave. So we barely had money. I used one of my only paychecks to pay my student loans to get the payments started. And I filed my taxes, and the following, I don't know, like 2 weeks later, a month later, whenever my taxes were supposed to get there, they just didn't show. And then I got a letter and said they had kept all of it to pay towards my student loans. So I don't want to give money in months away, but I was getting a large tax return that year. I was the mother of 4. I'm a waitress, and I was in a low-income bracket. So my tax return was going to pay back my rent, to make sure I wasn't behind. It was to pay my electric bill, to make sure things were okay for the next few months. And so I took steps to pay my student loans and start that deal. And then the following month, I get the letter that says they kept it all of it, 100%, and to pay my student loans. And I was like, well, then hopefully my student loans are almost paid off now, right? No. When I read my student loans papers and stuff, it was like pretty much I owed the same amount. So like I felt like I was conned, like somehow I got scammed. So I call the Department of Education and I question about my student loans, and they say you have to be 6 consecutive payments to get out of default. Okay, well, the first person didn't tell me this, and I forgot to mention the brain disappearing. Directly after they took my whole thing, like 3 days later, the payment place called and said, your payment's due, where is it? And I'm like, well, I set up arrangements because I was hoping that my that my my tax return was gonna give me the money to make my payments to you. And it looks like, because I was still in default, you kept all that money, and I don't have any money to give you. And they were like, well, this is the money you owe. You know, we just collected all that from you right there 3 days ago, but you still owe $300 today. So I told them a lot of adult words, because like I literally, I needed the tax return, to pay my rent, we had already told our landlord we needed it. And then it didn't show up. So, we had to move out of our house with 2 babies. And that was, so we moved onto my parents' property because my parents are incredible. And, well, my mother's incredible, and she would always accept me. So Bobby and I and Ben and Quentin and Willow and Winter came, and we lived with my mother and stepdad. And I found out I was pregnant again. I got really sick. I was so sick. And I'm like, oh no, Bobby. And he said, what? I'm like, oh no. So I had a 1-year-old, and I had a 6-month-old, and I was pregnant. So, that pregnancy was extremely excruciating. I stopped working because it was too hard. My body physically, I had been so healthy for both girls. Like, my body just felt incredible. I had gotten some, like, most terrible varicose veins, but incredible. Like, I honestly, other than, like, the utter nausea and disgusting thing, but my body was healthy. Just nausea was nausea. Morning sickness was always part of my life when I was pregnant. So, yeah. So then I was pregnant a 3rd time and on bed rest, and Bobby didn't have a choice but to work. So he and my stepfather decided to work together, and they busted their ass and worked, and Bobby rushed home every day, and he couldn't wait to get home to his family, and I was miserable. Body hurt. I felt like my hips, I felt like the baby was trying to get out of me every day, because the weight of everything was so low that I didn't feel like I could sit, and I didn't feel like there was any comfort. I have some spinal issues already, and some hip problems already because of my spinal problems, and it caused having the natural hormone releaser. It causes, like, easement in those ligaments and hips to make childbearing, like, more comfortable, if that's even, like, realistic. Your hips, you need more space, you need more space in that stomach, and those hips have to accommodate for it too. Well, I was, like, I don't know, producing too much, and my hips were just like, this is crazy, lady. Like, I couldn't climb stairs. I didn't feel like I could stand for more than 2 minutes, but I couldn't sit because, like, it felt like the weight of the world was sitting on me. So, thank the Lord. Well, come to find out, like, he was actually, like, my only child that was, like, didn't want to be head down and wasn't really ready. Like, I didn't have any irregular childbirths, none. All of them were natural, like, deliveries. 2, no. 1, no, yes. I'm saying 3 of my 5 children. I decided to have an epidural. The other 2 I chose not to have an epidural because the epidural was so harsh on me the first time. Like, the very first time, I felt hurt because I had a lot of pain with the epidural. A lot of after pain from the epidural. And I thought that, childbirth was extremely excruciating. All of my deliveries were Pitocin-induced because it was like my body wouldn't go into labor. Just couldn't go into labor. I never had a water break, but the doctor didn't have to break. I never. The mother in me, I mean, I could talk about every 5 births, 5 different memories, 5 different experiences. Not one was the same other than Pitocin. I don't know anything else. I heard somebody say, like, oh, I didn't know that delivery was so hard. And then I got Pitocin, and I didn't know it was even harder. Hey, guys. So this is editing me, and I am just letting you know that on some days my videos might have little content, and some days my videos might have uber content, and so that as of right now, I'm gonna just keep downloading videos, but there might be some videos might be the same day. I planned on doing like a day vlog, but I realized that like it would be like 2 hours long, and I just can't have a 2-hour-long video. So sorry for the hour-long video, and I will talk to you later. Make sure you like my video if you're seeing this, and give me a make sure you subscribe, and peace. Now to the kitties. Alright, you guys, she came out to get a little bite to eat. I got the kitten moved into like a animal carrier. Let's turn on the light really quick. Give you guys a little peek. Georgia. Sorry, she brought in a bunch of stuff. So look at these kittens. They almost have like a bunny look. Look at that solid white. I think that my family will never let me get that white cat out of here. But like, look at this one's little face. Oh my god. So, yeah. That's what happened in my house last night. After dinner. Well, before dinner. Holy cow.